that things have been trending, be bold and to be courageous. I find that conservatives in particular, and I understand this because oftentimes you can be in a hostile climate, especially if you are at university or you're working in certain sectors, but to be bold and to be courageous. If you hide your views from people, if you are afraid to say what you believe, then you are communicating that there is something inherently wrong with what you believe. And you also have to remember that your future, quite literally, depends on it. How this country goes, how the world goes, is going to be based on your generation. If you are concerned with the directions that things have been trending in for the past 10 years, then how do you think they're going to be another 10 years from now if people don't step up and be bold and have some courage? Be bold and to be courageous. I find that conservatives in particular, and I understand this because oftentimes you can be in a...
Now I still hear it. Hold on 1 second, people. I still hear it in my head. Okay, now I don't hear it anymore. So I can talk mildly undistracted. Good morning, Pete. Good morning to the West Coast. Good afternoon to the East Coast. Good evening to Europe. And good day, mate, to Australia. How's everyone doing? Zuby. The funny thing is, as you live on the internet and you live in the social media verse, you cross paths digitally with people. You don't know how. And then you just start listening to what they have to say. And if you like it, you listen to more of it. And if you don't like it, you don't listen to more of it. And I don't remember or even know how I came across Zuby. I don't know him from anything more than social media. I like what he has to say. Hello from Scottish land, Viva. Oh, I went to Scotland once, back when the world was sane and my father-in-law was still alive. I went to Ireland for a week with my wife, met my father-in-law in Scotland, learned how to drive stick on the opposite side of the road. My father-in-law, who was a Scotch connoisseur like myself, we went to all of the distilleries, Lagavulin, Lafroig. We went to, I don't think we hit Bunabane, but we got some Bunabane. Talisker, Jura. We went to the Isle of Jura, a one-lane island with nothing on it other than the distillery, more sheep than human, and a one-lane road where you had to pull off into these little, it looked like parking spaces to let oncoming traffic through. Get a haircut, man. Dexter Morgan. First of all, I very much like your avatar. Dexter was the best HBO special series ever until Breaking Bad came out. No, thank you for the advice. I'm not trying to be a jerk. No, I've grown attached to my wild mane, even though it might make me look unhinged to some. It might make me look free and cool to others, that being myself. And when it comes to my hair, and my opinion and my wife's opinion is the only one that really matters, and I just don't ask my wife for her opinion. So, what do we have on the menu today, people? Well, first of all, I'm going to start with a little rant. I've had my warm-up, venting with Viva, vibing with Viva, hump day with Viva, whatever we want to call it, exclusive locals, half hour before the stream, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. That's not what it says there. Someone distracted me because it said audio. Love your hair. Okay. Someone said audio, and I was checking to see if I had an audio problem. Is this the mic that's working? Mic check 1, 2. Is this the mic that's picking up my words? And do you understand the words? No. Is that the good mic? Let me know. And then we can move on. Let's just make sure it's the good mic, people. Chat's a little slow to repopulate on StreamYard. It's good. So we had our morning talk on locals, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. I got warmed up, but I didn't have all the infographics that we're going to go into detail for today's stream. But I was venting a little bit in Rumble because, as I mentioned to those watching in locals, I have been battling this. I'm at a crossroads in terms of exchanging, dialoguing, intercoursing, having exchanges with people on the interwebs who some might say they're trolls. I'm not sure if they're trolls. And I don't want to get into my comfortable tower where I only respond or engage with responses, tweets, messages, comments that I agree with. That being said, I get frustrated because I seem to get duped into discussions with people where it doesn't look like it goes in honest and sincere directions. And then I feel stupid and I get frustrated. And I think that maybe I've been trying to convince someone or have an exchange with someone who was never out there for open discourse, but only for demonizing, name calling, and distracting me from what it is that I try to do. And so I don't know what the best course of action is. People say don't feed the trolls, but I think people sort of get into the reflex of just writing off any dissenting critique as troll so you don't have to address it, which I think is a form of cowardice as well. And I had a good one with someone, which we're going to get to a little later today, but that's where I'm at in terms of, I've noticed a lot more like just clear troll insults trying to distract you, get you upset from accounts that were created this month that have 0 followers. And then you go to the timeline and it's nothing but dumping on me, or dumping on anybody else, which is one thing. But then there's other accounts which seem like people. And then you get into the discussions and you say, holy cows, was I just wasting my time all along? Now, I say this, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm the youngest of 5 kids from a family of lawyers. 4 of the 5 kids are lawyers. My father's a lawyer. 3 of our in-laws are lawyers. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. I have relatively thicker skin when it comes to debate. I have relatively honed, not expertise, but skills. Like when you're the youngest of 5 kids and you say something stupid, you got 5 people telling you it was stupid because I include my dad. Your 4 siblings jump on you. When you make a logical mistake in an argument, your 4 siblings jump on you. And when your father has no remorse for idiocy in argument, he too will jump on you. So I think I've learned a little bit about analysis, critical thought, studied philosophy for 4 years. Everybody would do well to take a basic logic course, like with the if A, then B type correlations. And then I realized like some people just don't have the critical thinking, don't have the philosophical training, and therefore get emotive, get emotional, and don't really piece things together properly. And they're not necessarily trolls. They just don't, they don't have the analytical skills that might actually come with studying something like philosophy. But I still try. And then I end up pulling my hair out trying, because you get stuck between trolls, between people who don't necessarily have the same critical thinking, critical training, practice of law, which makes you a little less personally involved in debates. And then you just get into the bad faith actors who are not out there for discourse, have totally closed minds, and only want the soundbite they can retweet or use to try to discredit you as an individual. So that's where I'm at. Now, with that said, people, super chats, standard disclaimers. Master Mulrubius. Haha, I drove a manual in Scotland back in 2020. Edinburgh was terrible for it. Once out in the country, not so bad. Wouldn't want to do it again. Keep up the great work. Viva la viva. Dude, I was back there. It was 2010 when I was there. It was either 2007 or 2010. I was married. We didn't have a kid. And my father-in-law was still alive. So I think it was 2010. What did I learn the hard way? Oh, yes. Driving in Italy, I learned that there's certain places which are off limits to rental cars. And when we were doing loops around a train station waiting for a friend, I got a ticket for every loop I did around the train station. And then it was mailed to me later in Canada. Thank you for the super chat. And then the standard disclaimers, as always: no medical advice, no legal advice, no election fortification advice. If you do not like supporting YouTube, because 30% of every super chat goes to the big bad beast YouTube, simultaneously streaming on Rumble. They have the equivalent of Rumble rants. Rumble takes 20%, so better for the creator, better supporting a platform that's good. And if you don't want to do any of that, vivabarneslaw.locals.com is the best place to support the channel, Robert and I, if you are so inclined. Other than that, financial free ways of supporting the channel, just share. Share, spread the word, and we can reach people, hopefully, who may not even know they need to be reached. Okay, on the menu for today, Liz Cheney, Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping trial, developments. The Elon Musk versus Twitter case that we didn't get to yesterday because I forgot to. And some trolls. We got Buck Color. Thank you very much for the super chat. 2024 Orange Man. Thank you for the super chat. Let's just start with one of the discussions. It's on the topic. It's on the subject of Orange Man bad. Someone on Twitter, I call it like, what's the word I'm looking for? Proud ignorance. And by the way, I'll say this also just to preface it. Twitter is a fun game. It's sort of like, you can have fun and you can pick fights. You can start arguments and it's a discussion place. Do it in a way that does not make it unpleasant in as much as you're so inclined. But above all else, don't break the law, don't harass, and don't threaten anybody, period. When I do these things, it's not to put people on blast. It's to just share in the madness that is Twitter. They're showing that
people are doing.
This is the clip of DeSantis that they're showing. And by the way, I was unfamiliar with DeSantis until the Rona broke out. DeSantis is looking smarter and smarter in hindsight. I was thinking today that the only people who can seriously hate DeSantis are people who still believe that the bill actually said, don't say gay in it. Those are the only types, I say types of people in terms of intellectual awareness. The people who hate DeSantis literally think the bill literally said, don't say gay. Let's hear what DeSantis had to say.
And what was right now, people are doing, looking at the research, are saying, oh man, the masks will hurt the kids. Now, we banned the masks in Florida with the legislature, with the Parents' Bill of Rights and other actions.
No medical advice here. I know a lot of you watching know this. In Quebec, they recalled hundreds of thousands of masks that were distributed at schools to tens of thousands of kindergartners, teachers, because they were potentially toxic. Recalled. So even when masks are, I don't want to say functional, even in the best of circumstances, you can have a defective product. Set aside the potentially toxic masks, which were recalled only after they were worn by daycare instructors and kids for months. Set aside the potentially toxic masks. Even when they're used properly, let me rephrase, even when they're fully functional, even when they're not toxic, they need to be used properly. You're not supposed to wear those reusable masks for more than 4 hours. You're supposed to wash the reusable masks after every use. They can grow stuff in them. They can get dirty. So even when they are not potentially toxic, but potentially functional, they need to be treated properly. They need to be dealt with properly. When you get kids in schools wearing the same masks for 4 or 5 days, not washing those reusable masks, you get things like mold in there. I'm not subscribing to the carbon dioxide argument. Never been convinced by that. But the mold, dirt in these masks that don't get changed as often as they should, potential issue. And now we're seeing studies of these types of plastics being found deep in the lungs of people for the first time. What types of plastics? The same types of plastics you find in these face masks. So with that in mind, DeSantis, a maniac at the time, a genius in retrospect.
But, the reality is that was not grounded in data. It was not grounded in evidence. It was basically the current thing. People would put in their Twitter profile a mask and a syringe, and that was like their identity. And it was ridiculous. They lied to us about the mRNA shots. They said if you take it, you will not get COVID. That is false. That is not true. And they continue to say, even now when the evidence is so overwhelming, that not only is that not true, people that have multiple boosters, you're definitely at risk of getting it. There's no question about that.
No medical advice. This is a question of fact. Did they say at the time, if you got the shot, you wouldn't get or transmit? Did they say at the time, 100% effective in clinical trials? Did they say it? Just a matter of fact. Let's leave the disputed science aside. So
it's just time and time again, I think you've seen ideology placed over data and evidence. And then what happens is that they will say something like, okay, 6 weeks of masks will end COVID. So that's what they claim. It doesn't happen. And then what they'll do is they will kind of move the goalposts and say, well, only 95% wore it. So now, and they will constantly.
In the stream that I did last week with the sidebar with Dace, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And I feel like an absolute idiot for not even asking the question. 2 weeks from when? How do you measure 2 weeks when you don't know when it started? 6 weeks with masks. That'll do it. 2 week lockdown, 2 month lockdown. That'll do it.
Try to shift because they will never admit that their ideology was incorrect. So that's very, very dangerous when you're looking at all these things. So that's a problem with our society that we're grappling with. And what I've said in the state of Florida, because we've taken on woke corporations, we've taken on ESG. Obviously, in the classroom, we've battled a lot of ideologies.
I've genuinely got to ask this question. Let's set aside the people who literally think the bill literally said, don't say gay. How can anyone really disagree with this? I can understand people are going to say companies are private corporations. The government can't tell them what to say. Yeah. Unless they're taking serious government subsidies or getting serious government privileges, unless they're actual extensions to some extent of government bodies. Or they start acting like government bodies by implementing policy based on ideologies. But then private corporations, you don't have to go if you don't want to. Don't go to Disneyland, except they are authorized to have their own private police and their own infrastructure, and they're authorized to effectively act like a government city. But no, they're private companies. When did people of a certain political orientation blindly put faith and support big corporation, big government, and big pharma? When did it happen? Oh, and big intelligence. You can't criticize intelligence to the very same people. The defund the police are the same ones as FBI's perfect. I don't know what's going on, but it's and I don't know if it's an infinitely small minority that's just very vocal. But from my own personal experience, I know a lot of people who feel this way.
But what I've said is that the state of Florida is the place where woke goes to die. We are not going to let this state. We're not going to let this state descend into some type of woke dumpster fire. We're going to be following common sense. We're going to be following, facts, and that's just really, really important. So, anyways, thank you guys for being here. God bless you all.
This is it.
That is not true, and they continue to say, even now, when the evidence is so overwhelming, that not only is that not true, people that have multiple boosters, you're.
Did they ever say?
Was basically the current thing. People would put in their Twitter profile a mask and a syringe, and that was like their identity. And it was ridiculous. They lied to us about the mRNA shots. They said if you take it, you will not get COVID. That is
okay. Whether or not they lied, whether or not they were wrong based on the data. Did they say it? This person says no one said that you would not get COVID. That's a flat out effing lie. Well, I think the responses might have corrected her. Now, some of these clips there's a whole montage where, of clips. Some might be taken out of context. We don't even have to get into that. Albert Bourla, April 2021, excited to share that updated analysis from our phase 3 study with BioNTech also showed that our COVID-19 was 100% effective in preventing COVID-19 cases. Is that ambiguous? That's the CEO of the pharma company that was given immunity to produce this shot. Is that ambiguous? Or how about some studies at the time? When was this from? I don't have March 4, 2021. A handful of recent studies suggested coronavirus vaccines developed by Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna not only prevent people who are exposed to the virus from contracting COVID-19, but also prevent them from spreading the virus to others. Is there anything ambiguous in that? Is there anything ambiguous in that where someone comes out and says they never said it? That's a flat out effing lie. It is pompous ignorance. It is arrogant ignorance. And then you try to have a discussion with them, but like DeSantis says, it's a moving goalpost and it's selective memory. Oh, they never said that. It was equivocal when they said it. It might. No, it wasn't. It wasn't equivocal. And then it went consistently down in effectiveness. Okay, some breakthrough cases. Some breakthrough cases. There's another breakthrough case. Oh, now everyone who's gotten double vaxxed and double boosted is still getting it, but now it's not even breakthrough cases. Now it's, I'd like to thank repeat the prayer. Listen to this. Omar Algebra, Canada's Minister of Transport. They are all WEF robots. This is insanity. Scripted tweets. They get COVID after being jabbed 17. That's hyperbolic, people. Let's not misunderstand misinformation versus hyperbole. They're not. What was Omar Algebra? I just tested positive for COVID-19. I will follow all public health measures while self-isolating. I am grateful. Add it to the montage, people, that I have received my vaccines and that my symptoms are mild. Oh, what scripted response. I just did that montage of it on Monday, went quasi-viral on Twitter. Scripted response. Oh, and then Justin, glad to hear your symptoms are mild, my friend. Get well soon, my friend. Because friends always take to Twitter to call them my friend and wish, hey, Justin, how about you just DM him? How about you call him? Oh, no, because this is not for him. This is for the people who say it's a flat out lie that we were ever told that we would never get it. Madness. Robots. The thing is, they're robots. WEF. So he even said they're WEF robots. He thinks, like, at some point, people are going to treat the WEF accusation or connection like the lizard people. They're going to say it's as baseless a conspiracy theory as we're thinking they're lizard people. I don't think they're lizard people, but I know that they're dumb. Watch this, by the way. Omar Algebra. Let me see. See? Oh, he's not Omar Algebra. He's not there. Okay, yet. Omar Algebra doesn't have a but just here we got the Justin Trudeau we form. Omar Algebra is not yet there, at least on the landing page. But he made that's offensive. Why isn't he there? Is he not good enough for? Is he not good enough for the WEF? Hold on. What's this? We are keeping our community safe. That's why on August 19th, we are banning the importation of restricted handguns to keep you and your family protected. I think I saw something of a WEF. There was something in the thread. Whatever. Robotic responses, religious, cultish. I'll say cultish, not even religious, because at least religion has a value, focusing on your breathing, focusing on your body, thanking God that it works well. That's good. That's nice. That shows appreciation. Cultish blind support, despite all evidence to the contrary, is not healthy. It's delusional. All right, and by the way, this inter thing, I think that's a shekel, right? If I'm not mistaken, like that's the icon. It's interesting. Okay, I'm still at the start of the show, but jumping forward just to say the only reason you think anything other than I'm still at the start of the show, but jumping forward just to say the only reason you think anything other than The Wire is the best show from HBO is because you are not red-pilled while it was on. Oh, I never even knew of The Wire when it was on. I probably should watch it. And I never watched either James Gandolfini. What's that show called? Sopranos. I never watched The Sopranos either. Oh, I saw some super chats that I should probably take up before we go. Florida has a very robust respiratory virus tracking system. The man isn't dumb. He shut down, looked at the data, then acted rationally and opened Florida up. And you know what's amazing? And nobody seems to care who's on the cultish, I'd like to thank my 4 shots for this. We were never told it was going to be 100% effective, except we were. And then we were told they were breakthrough cases, except they weren't. And now that everyone who's vaccinated, double vaxxed, double boosted is having a breakthrough case, I'd like to thank the vaccines for making my symptoms mild, because I know certainly, in as much as I can ever, say what would have been, had I not done what I did, would have been worse, blind faith. How about maybe if you hadn't done what you did, you wouldn't be where you are right now? Yeah. All right, what do we got here? Liz is a neocon warhawk. All these leftists crying about her loss have abandoned their principles because she aligns with them and on Orange Man bad. Seeing her with her father. Like, do people not remember? They called her father a war criminal because her father might have been something of a war criminal. Bulk color, I think I got that. Thank you. Hey, Viva, check out the new leading cause of death in Alberta. Completely speculative, by the way. Listen to the CDC and the FDA, of course. I'm going to leave that up and get back to that in a second. There honestly are not enough Democrats in my state of Wyoming to affect any election here. Still cautious to see what Hagman actually does. The usual suspects of the MSM make Kaiser Sose cry every time they lie. I have to watch The Usual Suspects again. I don't remember a darn thing about the movie, except for the lineup scene where they say, "Give me the keys, you." And then one of the guys goes, "Give me the keys, you." That's the only thing I remember of that entire movie, and the last scene involving a mug. Trudeau has just said Biden Inflation Act will help Canada. Oh my God, this tool has to go. He more concerned about USA policies than doing something. Okay, Viva, check out the leading cause of death in Alberta. Let's do it together, people. This is what happens where we get sidetracked and then sometimes don't get to all of the topics. But it's going to be worth it. Hold on. Minimize. No, that's maximize. Minimize. Okay, let's do this. Go to Google. Okay. Now, we'll do it in real time together, and we'll see if we can get an answer real quick like. Google, leading cause of death in Alberta. Leading cause of death, Alberta. That's great. Okay. Leading cause of death, Alberta, July 5th. Okay, this is a month old. Maybe this will still be good. Deaths with unknown causes. Now Alberta's top killer. Okay, they treat us like we're stupid. Deaths with unknown causes. What are they going to call it now? They're going to call it DWUCs. They're going to call it ducks. Deaths of unknown cataclysmic causes. Well, I need a K there. Death of unknown causes that we know of. Ducks. Who knows? We're all just ducks. Top 10 causes of death in 2021. Ill-defined and unknown causes. I'm sorry, if the cause is unknown, it's because you haven't found it yet, not because it's unknown. Dementia, COVID-19. Look at that. Unknown causes outnumbers COVID-19. Alberta is reporting an unprecedented increase in ill-defined and unknown causes of death. Let me just cut. Oh, by the way, it's not just Alberta, by the way. New Brunswick also. That category is leading the way over dementia, which has been in the top since 2016. Well, considering COVID probably did kill a lot of elderly who, now they can't die from dementia because they died from COVID, but they probably would have died from, I'm not saying this to be callous whatsoever. It's just statistical facts. Probably if they would have succumbed to dementia this year, they probably succumbed to COVID last year. The category is leading the way over dementia, which has been on the top since 2016, which began adding to the death tally in the province in a big way in 2020. Oh, here's the reframing. It can't be something because we've just said it started adding in 2021. I'm sorry, we're talking 2021, not 2020. Ill-defined and unknown causes of death snagged the first spot. Snagged it. It's like a competition. Up from 1,400 in 2020. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't you just say it started surging in 2020? Up from 1,500 the year before and 522 the year before that. The unknown causes of death category only began appearing in the list in 2019. There is no record of it ranking before then. That explains all of it. Sending this to somebody. Thank you for the tip. Now I'm going to unstar that because I've seen the chat. It's a mystery. Like, magic is always a mystery to children until you realize that it's just a game of, it's sleight of hand, mathematics, or mechanics. Magic is always a mystery until you know how it works. Things are always a mystery until you know the answer. Unbelievable. I'll be sending that link to somebody. Okay, so that's not the way we wanted to start this, but we cannot ignore reality. Liz Cheney, people. It's not just that she lost. It's that she's a loser in defeat. She lost, from what I understand, by 37 points, which, from what I understand, is the fourth largest defeat either of an incumbent in GOP political history. Qualify it whichever way you want. It's devastating. It's humiliating. People were saying it was going to happen for a long time. I don't think it can come as a surprise to Liz Cheney. She's a loser, and a pompous loser at that, in defeat. It's not her fault. She could have won if she had just told the rubes what they wanted to hear, but she's got dignity and she's got pride, and she knows better that for what's good for the people that are electing her than the people themselves. And she's been doing the rounds with
the country.
The most idiotic, the most patronizing, and the most detached statements about her loss. Let's just start with one. CBS News this morning. Highlight.
What's at stake today, Congresswoman?
Well, look, I think today, no matter what the outcome is.
Sorry, this is yesterday, before everyone knew the outcome. They were saying it was going to be 30 plus points for a while. So no.
This is certainly the beginning of a battle that is going to continue.
She looks defeated. I might be projecting. I feel bad. I see sadness. I see soul-crushed sadness. It's a good thing she's worth so much money. She can, that'll bring some happiness later on in life. But here.
Continue is going to go on. And as a country, we're facing very challenging and difficult times. We're facing a moment where our democracy really is under attack and under threat. And those of us across the board, Republicans, Democrats, and independents, who believe deeply in freedom and who care about the Constitution and the future of the country.
The people who want to desecrate the Constitution on certain issues are lecturing on the respect of the Constitution. The people, wait, we're going to get there.
I think have an obligation to put that above party, and I think that fight is clearly going to continue and clearly going to go on.
That fight is clearly going to continue and clearly going to go on.
No matter what the outcome is certainly the beginning of a battle that is going to continue, is going to go on. And
I'm sorry. It's the beginning of a battle that's going to continue, that's going to go on. The fight is going to continue. Did they not impeach Donald Trump for, if it's not verbatim the same rhetoric, it's of essence the same rhetoric? Did they not impeach Donald Trump over this? Fight like hell, peacefully, or you're not going to have a country. Did they not impeach him over those words? Because that was inciting violence. But when Liz Cheney, warmonger, arguable war criminal daughter of Dick Cheney, comes out and says, it's certainly the beginning. It's a battle. It's going to go on. We're going to fight. It's a fight that has to go on. Hold on. Just
clearly going to continue and clearly going to go on. And I think that fight is clearly going to continue and clearly going to go on.
That fight is clearly going to continue, clearly going to go on. That's fine. That's fine. Because Liz Cheney, a Republican, but a good Republican, said it. Trump didn't say anything radically different, if even different at all. Fight like hell for your country, or you're not going to have one. Peacefully go down and protest. Oh, there we go. We're going to block a user there. I could swear they say that sounded like the same words. I could swear, but no, that's fine. That's fine. Setting up the fact that I'm going to lose. Democracy's at stake, but I'm going to complain about democracy when it happens. Let's hear another highlight of Liz Cheney. Let me find out where it is here. CNN is praising her. I'd say the only time the left-wing media likes a Republican is when they become a Democrat or at their funerals. It's actually shocking. McCain, I don't think they liked McCain much in life. But left-wing media runs with it. They become heroes when they change sides or, move on.
2 years ago, I won this primary with 73% of the vote. I could easily have done the same again. The path was clear.
Listen to what she just said.
2 years ago, I won this primary with 73% of the vote. I could easily have done the same again.
2 years, I won the primary with 73% of the vote. I could have easily done the same thing again. You got elected. People saw what you did. They didn't like it. You couldn't have done it again. You could not have easily done it again. But let's just hear.
The path was clear.
The path was clear.
But it would have required that I go along with President Trump's lie about the 2020 election. It would have required that I enable his ongoing efforts to unravel our democratic system and attack the foundations of our republic. That was a path I could not and would not take.
She's the hero to CNN right now. And recall historically who have been the heroes of CNN. Michael Avenatti. I can't think of another one for now. I could have easily done it, people, but it would have gone along. It would have required going. First of all, not necessarily. But second of all, maybe if you listened to your constituents, represented their interests, instead of telling them what their interests were and acting in a way that was contrary to what they were telling you was of interest to them, maybe then it would have happened. I was elected with 73%. I could have done it again. Do we have more chats in here? We got, get the jab or get arrested. Well, you're going to get blocked. That's a bot. That's not even a troll. That's just a bot. And I don't understand what they are or why they're here or what they get out of this or who creates them or how it works. Could have easily done it, but I chose not to. Did I get to the one? Oh, no, I didn't get to the one that I really wanted. This is the best one of the bunch. And I seem to not have it there. Hold on just one second. We're going to get it. It's the best one of the bunch. I think I closed it down by accident in our locals exclusive warm-up. Hold it. Bear with me because it must be heard, because otherwise you might not believe that she actually said it. Okay, I'm not going to show only the 4-second clip, which I snipped to make it more obvious. Oh, I might not have a choice because I don't have the full clip. Now, you can find the full clip. It was an interview with USA Today. Here we go. Okay, hold on. We're bringing it. Share screen. And I'm going to star that. Okay. Now, no, that's the wrong link. Share screen. Listen to this gem. After she gets booted from office by 37 points.
I will be doing whatever it takes to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office. Well, I know
This is the same person who just said democracy is at stake. This is the person who just lamented the fact that democracy in her mind was under attack after getting booted out of office by a whopping margin.
I will be doing whatever it takes to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office. Well, I know
She will be doing whatever it takes to keep Donald Trump out of office. Let's just bask in the glory of what that means. The bots are out. This is good. Maybe I should not have mentioned the bots. Now I might need a moderator at some point. Okay. Think about what it means. She's going to do whatever she can to keep Donald Trump out of the office after her base basically just said to her, we want you out of office because we want Donald Trump in office. And she's lamenting the attack on democracy. That's one scary side of it. Hypocritical side of it. Arrogant pomposity of it. That's one side of it. The other side is she's sitting on the January 6th committee right now, exploring the events of January 6th. And she's basically telling you her life mission now, after having been booted from office by 37 points, is to keep Donald Trump out of office and to do whatever it takes to keep Donald Trump out of office. But she's on the bipartisan committee investigating January 6th, which seems to arguably potentially have the, if not outright stated objective, at least the clearly obvious objective of keeping Donald Trump out of office. Viva Fry, if a citizen said, I will do whatever it takes to keep Donald Trump out of office, contrast that with the January 6th. If we said that, Secret Service would be knocking on our doors. There's that too. There's that too, get smart. But just appreciate she's on the committee investigating January 6th, voted out of office through the democratic process, saying that she's going to do everything in her power, however she said it, to keep Donald Trump out of office. And I didn't take it out of context. She said it twice in the interview. What does that tell you about January 6th, the January 6th committee? I mean, it's outrageous. And when people say things like that, and then people want to talk about dog whistles and how people might hear that, I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep Donald Trump out of office. But democracy is at stake. It's atrocious. It's atrocious. And she's the bipartisan element of the January 6th committee. 2 of the 9. She's one of the 2, which represent the bipartisan 2 of the 9 of the January 6th committee. Your rights are what they say they are. No, your interests are what she says they are. And if you say to her, if you tell her what you want, and she doesn't think that that's what's good for you, that's what she should represent in office, you don't know better. And she could totally get you. She could totally get reelected. But no, she won't do that. It would compromise her values. It would be an attack on democracy, but she's going to do everything she can to keep Donald Trump out of office. Outrageous. Okay, now let's just see if we've got anything on. Let's see if we've got anything on the Rumbles, people. Rumble. This is fantastic. Hold on. Kurt Smells. Kurt, why would you make an avatar of yourself that says Kurt Smells? I don't know if Kurt smells. I don't think he does, but I did not support Trudeau. I don't understand the purpose of those things, just to distract and detract from the chat. People flag them when you see them. I'll block them when I see them, but let's not let us distract us. There's nothing on the Rumbles that I need to know about for now. Okay. Bots came out today doing something right. It's nuts. I don't know if talking about bots makes the bots come out, but this is the most we've ever had, people. Dane Robinson's FGM, female genital mutilation. The total or partial removal of external female genitalia or other injuries to female genitalia or non-organs. Switch female to male and tell me circumcision doesn't fit. Dane, we've had this discussion. We're going to have to agree to disagree on certain things. Mutilation. We'll have to, I know that is one of the definitions. Total, partial, external genitalia, or other injuries. Is circumcision an injury? That's where the debate is going to be. But this is not a debate we're going to have anymore. We've had it. I appreciate people will not share my view. Such is the diverse world in which we live. Maverick John McCain was loved by the press as there wasn't a conservative back. He wouldn't put a poke in. Oh, a conservative back. He wouldn't put a poke in. Got it. Now there was a Britt Cormier. Hold on. Let me see where Britt Cormier is here before we move on. It's a red super chat that I want to bring up. Give me 1 second, people. Let's see here. Oh, no, we got that one already. If I can't find it, Britt, I'm going to read it later. Joining you a bit late from Limavady in North Ireland. Hopefully we'll see you back in Ireland one day. Ireland was beautiful too. Green, lush, beautiful. Hold on. Let's get rid of the bot. There you go. What do we got here? Fact check. Is Liz Cheney the reincarnation of Lincoln? Oh my goodness. We got to get there too. I forgot that soundbite. In a second. Britt, I don't think I can find your chat, but it says, here is the sweet irony of Liz. To the left that support Liz, quote, she voted with Trump 90% of the time. To the right that does not support Liz, she voted with Trump 90+% of the time. What is... Okay, I'll stop commenting. I'm just going to block them when I see them. It's what do they say? Figures lie and liars figure. Figures lie and liars figure. There's 3 types of lies: lies, damn lies, and statistics. Benjamin Disraeli, I think, said that. You can find stats to support anything you want. 72% of people know that. She compared herself to Abraham Lincoln people. Here is the sweet irony of Liz. To the left that supports Liz, she voted with Trump 90+% of the time. To the right that does not support Liz, she voted with Trump 90+% of the time. She compared herself to Lincoln in one of her speeches. Let me bring this up. Let me bring this down. And let me find that. I think it's right here. Yeah, it's right here. Okay. Where was the part where she compared herself to Abraham Lincoln? It's in the thumbnail, so I have to get to the clip. It was during here. I believe it was. No, it wasn't that one. Here we go. Here we go. My Twitter feed is my dialogue.
The great and original champion of our party, Abraham Lincoln, was defeated in elections for the Senate and the House before he won the most important election of all. Lincoln ultimately prevailed. He saved our Union, and he defined our obligation as Americans for all of history. Speaking at Gettysburg of the great task remaining before us, Lincoln said that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. As we meet here tonight, that remains our greatest and most important task.
Mm-hmm.
Most of world history is a story of violent conflict, of servitude and suffering.
She's comparing herself to Abraham Lincoln. Now, I'm just waiting for an old politician with a sense of humor to come out and say, Madam Cheney, I knew Abraham Lincoln. You are no Abraham Lincoln. But can you imagine, arrogant pomposity or pompous arrogance. I mean, it's not quite anywhere near as sacrilegious, but it's almost as arrogant as comparing yourself to other historical figures whose names I need not name. Abraham Lincoln, her defeat makes her like Abraham Lincoln. You know what else? I'm like Abraham Lincoln. I go to the bathroom. Abraham Lincoln went to the bathroom. I am Abraham Lincoln-esque. I mean, I'm half the height of Abraham Lincoln, but she lost. And she's in her own mind, in her own delusional illusions of grandeur, comparing herself to Abraham Lincoln. The irony with that, by the way, is that, of certain political persuasions, depending on the day, Abraham Lincoln is either the greatest president in the history of America. He freed the slaves, he was the last true great Republican. Or depending on the day, he was a tyrant, fascist of a dictator who did away with habeas corpus, locked up his political adversaries, has to have monuments torn down. If you don't believe me, just look it up on the interwebs. There were people clamoring for the removal of Abraham Lincoln statues because of his horrible history. But today, when Liz Cheney wants to lament her own loss and build herself up as some great, great leader, Abraham Lincoln is a hero, and she is just like Abraham Lincoln. I do feel bad for Liz Cheney nonetheless. Like having run for office, having lost a good battle, having poured sweat, tears, effort to try to sensitize people, wake people up, reach people, having had no chance of winning and nonetheless losing, I still was devastated because I'm an idiot. One day I'll learn, but I can only imagine. I mean, I don't know how much money she had to put into this. Not that it's her money, but there's effort nonetheless. She's got to be devastated, and she's got to make sense of that devastation to herself. She's like Principal Skinner. Is it my voters is it me who's out of touch? Have I lost touch with my voters? No, it's their fault. They're the idiots who don't know what's good for them. That's it. She's out. She's got a couple more months in the in Congress. I don't actually know how this part works. I'm going to have to look this up. If anyone in the chat knows, let me know. She's out. She's been voted out, but she's still going to be in there, finish up her work for Wyoming for the next few months. She's going to like plug hard and, 24/7. She's going to be working with that January 6th bipartisan committee to make sure Trump never makes it back into the Oval Office because she's concerned about democracy. All right, that's all we care about Liz Cheney for today. King David from the Bible was also a giant slayer, just like yourself. King David. I don't know. I'm identifying with Samson these days. Oh my God, that's crazy. Hold on a second. Let me just no, bring it down, not up. Oh boy, I've made it worse. But thank you for the super chat. Liz, I could have easily lied. I believe that. I could have told them what they wanted to hear and then stabbed them in the back afterwards. That wouldn't go too far. Louis Rossmann is moving his business from New York to Texas. Would be a fantastic interview with you guys. Louis Rossmann is the not the computer repair. Yeah, he's the computer repair. I screen grabbed that. I just have to remember to get to screen grabs in the future. She looked and sounded exactly like Hillary Clinton. Has Barnes spoke about Lincoln? He may agree with Liz. Jailed his opponents for speaking against. Put a nail in the states' rights. Made rich by graft in office. We have discussed Lincoln. I mean, that's where I got my awakening from, and then I had to look into it myself. Lincoln had he did some questionable things as president. As political leader, you will be on a chart where your comment section will be categorized as being a high percentage of flagged comments for bullying and hate speech. You will be on a chart where your comment section will be categorized as being a high percentage of flagged comments for bullying and hate speech. I don't mind. I'd like YouTube to know that this problem exists. She was Lincoln. Is that before? No. We don't make those jokes. Please move to subscriber mode. I don't want to do that. That's not fun. Oh, subscriber mode. Hold on. Can I do that while we're live? I'm an idiot. I actually didn't know about that. Hold on. Let's see if I can do this. Customization. Subscribers. What am I? Minimum time for be a subscriber? Yeah, let's go 5 minutes. Let's make those bots work a little bit. I'm an idiot. I didn't even know this was a function. Thank you, Rob. We'll make these bots subscribe. I bet you they can't actually subscribe. They don't have that in their AI. Okay, let's see if this resolves the problem. Thank you. I'm an idiot. Let's see here. Aaron Taylor is angry with me about vote splitting. Aaron, I'm not compromising my integrity of where I decide to vote. Okay? If you have a problem with that, then we have to let me just say. Viva, you speak of critical thought, but apply none when confronted with vote splitting by the PPC. Statistical analysis shows the PPC won the Libs and NDP 15 seats in Ontario alone. Hey, Aaron, here's the flip side of this argument. I'll give you that statistic. Okay, I'm not even going to contest it. I don't know if it's true. I'm not going to contest it. Don't tell me how to vote. I will vote with my integrity and with my heart. Period. You may think it's strategically improper. If you're not telling me who to vote for, but telling me how I should vote, that's not much better than telling someone what to do with their body. So even if you're right strategically, a vote is not something that most people do strategically. They do it because they believe in who they're voting for. I would sooner not vote for someone than vote for someone I don't believe in because someone might tell me it's strategically advantageous to do it. Disagree with that? That's not emotion. That's integrity. I'm not lying to myself. I'm not bearing false witness to myself to vote for someone I don't necessarily support just because it will be better than if I vote for who I think is deserving of my vote. Okay, can we accept that impasse and now move on? Joe Biden, come on, man. Liz and I marched with Abe Lincoln for civil rights. We got more votes than Obama. If you don't like Liz, you... That's good humor. That's good internet humor. Okay, good. Someone just said something about the subs thing. The subs only was a mistake. I miss Kurt's smells already. We'll see. The bots are quite problematic today, but whatever. All right, now, done with Liz for the day, unless anyone had any last thoughts on the Liz. Let's go to what I was supposed to talk about yesterday, but forgot. Elon Musk. No thanks. After I go to Rumble and just make sure we're good here. Okay. Elon Musk scores a rare win. My gosh, do we love a rare win? You all, let me just bring this out and we'll give the rundown for anybody who might not have been paying attention. Liz, I just was going back to Liz. So the Elon Musk Twitter drama, some dude said, buy Twitter. Elon Musk says how much, then he makes an offer to buy Twitter. The bottom line, let's skip over the 30,000 foot overview. Elon Musk made an offer to buy Twitter. Twitter accepted the offer. It had certain conditions in it. And apparently one of those conditions was to confirm the bot percentage. They call them non-monetizable user accounts. Not robots like what we've seen here today, but rather also accounts that are not bona fide accounts that are not there to consume advertising for the purposes of advertising. Speaking of which, I was supposed to do a sponsored video today, but I forgot to turn on the this video contains a paid promotion, so I'll do it tomorrow. So he said he'd buy it. It was a conditional 60 billion, I think, 44 billion, whatever. He said he'd buy it. Conditional on Twitter proving that they do not have more than 5% bot accounts, which necessarily affects the price because Twitter as a product is worth nothing if you can't advertise on it. And the advertising value of it is worth less and less the more bot non-monetizable accounts that there are on it. 40 billion. Lawsuits flying every which way. At one point, Elon suggests that Twitter is not forthcoming with its evidence to substantiate the claim that it's 5% or less bots. Twitter says we are. Twitter accuses Elon of making public statements which would harm the price of the stock. Elon gets sued allegedly for making public statements that would harm the price to bring the price down so that when he carries through with his offer to purchase, it's at a more advantageous price. What else was there? SEC violations allegedly against Elon Musk because he didn't disclose to the public that he owned 5% of the stock prior to announcing that he owned 9%, which affected the price. Lawsuits left, right, and center. At one point, Elon says, I'm backing out of the deal because Twitter is not proving their claim. They're not communicating documentation to suggest that, to evidence that their bot account is actually 5% or less. Twitter sues Elon to compel the acquisition of the company on the terms of their agreement because they say we've done everything. We've communicated everything, and now he's chickening out of the deal. Some people are hypothesizing because Tesla went down in value, he was going to buy the company with some of his Tesla stock. Now that he can't leverage that into the deal for as much, he doesn't want to go through with it because he doesn't want to have to liquidate Tesla stock at a lower price. Whatever. Twitter sued him. They actually got an expedited trial for 5 days, bumped up, I think, in November. So it was actually expedited very quickly. So because time is of the essence in a deal like this. And there's some back and forth motions prior to going to trial. 5 days for a trial of this nature, it sounds reasonable. It's not when you see a 2-week trial for damages on quantum in Alex Jones, intentional infliction of emotional distress, 2 weeks on damages alone, 5 days for a complex dispute on an acquisition could seem a little short, but at the end of the day, the question is this: did Twitter satisfy its obligations under its purchase agreement or offer to purchase? Did they not? And if they didn't, whose fault is it? And does Musk have to buy it? And if he does, at what price? Okay, he scores a rare win. He scores a rare win. Insider. Elon Musk scores a rare win. There haven't been that many pretrial motions that I know about to qualify this as rare. Rare or not, it's the material question at issue. Did he get all the documentation or not? Apparently, Elon made a motion to compel production of documents that Twitter has from a former employee. Yada yada. He's rare win in Twitter acquisition lawsuit as the company is ordered to hand over documents from fired general manager. Well, if there are documents that Twitter has that were not communicated to Elon Musk, it prima facie substantiates what Musk was saying, that he didn't get all the documents to make evidence of the material fact at issue in this acquisition. What percentage do bot account makes up, non-monetizable accounts? Last week, Musk's attorney demanded that documents from 22 Twitter employees be handed over. The judge overseeing the case ordered documents from one employee, Kayvon Bekpour. Musk is now seeking more information on data through an additional motion filed confidentially. Elon Musk will receive some of the extra information he's demanded from Twitter in its lawsuit against him, and he's trying for even more, the insider has learned. Extra information is an interesting way of qualifying it. Any information relevant to the how they calculate bot accounts is not extra information. It's information he was entitled to. Anybody thinking that in his purchase agreement, offer to purchase, letter of intent, whatever it's called, he said, I'm just going to buy it for $45 billion. If you say you've given me everything I need to know, probably have never done M&A or corporate law before. I don't say that to be mean. It's just like anybody who thinks that it was binding and there was nothing that Elon Musk was going to be entitled to have access to for documentation to prove the essential claims, the essential terms of the purchase, it's naive at best. Judge Kathleen St. Jude McCormick on Monday ordered Twitter to comply in part with a motion to compel from Musk's attorneys. They requested documents from 22 additional Twitter employees. They said information on the company's process of analyzing spam or bot accounts. Twitter is already handing over information from some 41 so-called custodians of information as part of the case. Okay. Already sounds like Musk didn't have all the information necessary to make an informed consent decision in acquiring a $40 billion company. His motion to compel for the additional documentation was filed last week confidentially, which means it doesn't appear on the court's docket, nor did his counterclaims that accused Twitter of fraudulent scheme around its user, member, and metrics. McCormick's order was made available on the docket. They filed it, yada, yada, yada. In the meantime, Twitter is now required to collect, review, and produce documents from Kayvon Bekpour, the platform's former general manager for consumer. The judge's short order said. He joined Twitter in 2018 under the CEO, Jack Dorsey at the time. Dorsey's replacement, Parag Agrawal, fired Bekpour in May along with a few other executives. He tweeted that it was not his decision to leave the company. Bekpour, the employee. McCormick's decision hands Musk a rare win in the lawsuit that Twitter filed last month in an effort to force the billionaire to go through with his agreement to acquire the company for $44 billion. Yada, yada. And okay, fine, that's it. He hasn't tweeted about the company or the case in almost 2 weeks. Last week, he sold almost $7 billion worth of Tesla shares, saying it was an effort to be prepared if he is ultimately ordered to acquire Twitter. Twitter's stock more recently has recovered, yada, yada. Okay, fine. Musk's fortune is tied up in Tesla stock, which also has risen in recent weeks after dipping to a yearly low in June. Shares of Tesla. All right. So that's it. Framing is everything, people. A rare win. A rare win in a case where the information is the essential issue. Did Musk have all the documentation needed to conduct a meaningful due diligence to confirm the question to establish Twitter's value? The difference between 5% bot accounts and 20% bot accounts, first of all, people, it's relevant not only for Musk's acquisition, it might be relevant for a massive class action lawsuit from advertisers who paid advertising dollars based on warranties and representations as to the number of actual monetizable or monetized, whatever they call them, accounts on Twitter. If advertisers were being told 95% of the users are actual consumers, that changes the advertising pricing. If they would have otherwise been told, no, it's only 80%. Well, I'm not going to pay $95, then I might pay $80 for the same advertising. So this information, which might also explain why it's confidential for the time being, is not only relevant as far as Twitter goes to Musk buying it for the price that he agreed to buy it in his letter of intent. It's also relevant to a series of potential massive lawsuits, class action lawsuits that Twitter could be facing if they have not been honest about their bot ratio to advertisers. Okay. So that's it. No big deal, no big news. It's not rocket science. It's actually pretty clear cut. And my prediction, if it goes through, if the sale goes through, it's not going to be for $44 billion. And if Elon's ultimate objective is to get out of the deal, I would sooner take his case than I would take the motion to compel the purchase for Twitter. I think Elon has the better chances of success in this. Okay. Now let me see something here. Let's go refresh here and see. Okay, we're still good here. Did I miss any super chats? I don't think I did. Moving on to the next story. Gretchen Whitmer. My goodness. The retrial. Julie Kelly's covering it. Tucker Carlson just did a piece on it. I shared the 9-minute clip on Twitter. We're learning more now in the second retrial of the two defendants who were not acquitted, but the object of a hung jury. They're being retried, and we're learning even more details, which are shocking. Overvalued, Elon knows. Well, I'm sure he knows better than others, but it's like, it's a game of chess. You know, Twitter is gambling. Oh, good. Well, at least Viva loves Justin Trudeau. It's confirmed. At least you waited 5 minutes, but you're still blocked. My fear is blocking a not bot account by accident, but if it happens, people forgive me. Viva, look at video game bot stats. They don't have any anti-cheat software in play. I have no idea what that means. I mean, I feel like Napoleon Dynamite. I didn't understand a word you just said. Look at video game bot stats. They don't have any anti-cheat software in play. Okay, I'm going to have to think about that in a bit. Elon Musk. Viva Chia, where to buy at Viva Fry is the biggest Trudeau fan. I can't even make that shirt as a joke. Although that might be funny. Hold on. Screen grab. I'm going to think about that. A reverse troll. Can I do that in good conscience? Mercy, I hope you didn't mean to put a comment in there. If you did, maybe try to put it back and I'll find it. I put a second super chat and I didn't see you put up or read, but I think it's because you don't want to engage with the subject, circumcision. I didn't see the second chat, but not because I don't want to engage on circumcision. We've done it. We're moving on. Dane Robinson, if you're only super chatting to get me to engage on that, please stop. It's like this channel's not going to turn into a circumcision debate channel. I am unblocked throughout YouTube since attending FF in Vegas. Weird. Maybe they know I don't know what that means. All right. Go ahead and buy your electric cars. Replacement battery is only $20,000. Oh, don't worry. They're good for the environment too, until you have to dispose of the lithium battery. And then it has to be disposed of properly if it does. It's not like a lot of those are not going to end up in bad places, leach into the ground. Oh yeah, they're environmentally friendly, except for the charging stations have to be hydro or coal-based energy to fuel your electric cars in the first place. They're good for the environment, except for the rare earth minerals that make their way into those lithium batteries are mined in foreign countries with devastating impact to the environment and the people involved in the mining and the runoff and the waste. But they're environmentally friendly, and go and just buy one if you can afford one and wait 4 years to get one. With all that said, yep. Go get your electric cars, you selfish environment haters. All right. I put out a highlight clip once upon a time of, if anybody doesn't know what goes in to making those lithium batteries for those environmentally friendly cars, go look it up. Go look at the environmental devastation in far off countries. You know, it's like Marilyn Manson on the Family Guy, not Marilyn Manson, Charles Manson on the Family Guy. You know, he's in jail and he says, if I haven't seen it, it's new to me. Talking about must-see TV. Well, if the pollution happens in other countries, it's not pollution to me. Yep. I won't call it a lie. It's a massive misrepresentation of the environmental sustainability of the electric car. It's good. When you get it, once you've gotten it, you just plug it in and it's good. Don't ask any questions as to where the energy to charge the battery comes from. Don't ask any questions about where the rare earth minerals for the batteries come from. Don't ask anything about how that car gets overseas into your driveway, except for Tesla's made here. I don't know if they make much overseas. Don't ask any of those questions. Don't ask the question as to what percentage of pollution freight liners contribute. I should say emissions. Don't ask the question as to what the leading emitters are in the world and what percentage of global emissions freightliners contribute to. Don't ask any of those questions. Just sit behind the wheel of your electric car and feel good about yourself by not asking those questions. Viva, everyone on the chat is talking about you being sexy or not. Could you spend 5 seconds on the subject? I'm not sexy. Although I never, in my wildest fantasies, would think that that would ever be a discussion, a matter of discussion. I'm rugged, ragged, a little haggard, unkempt. I'm in good shape. I exercise every day. Last I checked, I was under 9% body fat. I jog, if not every day, almost every day. But sexy? I guess you'll have to ask. I'll ask my wife. She'll say yes. My mother will say yes also. Okay. With that said, we'll move on to subjects that actually mean something. The tweet. We're going to get to this article. Everyone remember it. Stephen Dace apparently says it as well. I think I've been saying it. I don't know if I've been saying it for longer. History doesn't repeat, but it tends to rhyme. Mark Twain. This is from the Whitmer trial. FBI asked cops to let protesters into Michigan State Capitol building. Informant says. This is reporting of what the informant said during the Whitmer trial. An FBI informant is alleged in the alleged plot to kidnap Democratic Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, claimed Monday the Bureau requested that Michigan State Police allow armed protesters into the state capitol during an April 30, 2020 anti-lockdown demonstration, according to journalist Ken Bensinger. Sound familiar? It sounds familiar. I'm sure the FBI was just asking, because it would pacify the crowd and thus potentially reduce the risk of conflict. I'm sure that's why. Maybe. If I'm trying to steel man an explanation that is not one that makes you lose faith in the system. But let's go to the article, because the new details coming out in the continued retrial. Gretchen Whitmer. Let me just take this out and give you the rundown. If you're new to the channel, been talking about this one for a while. I am not going to go. Gretchen Whitmer was the alleged victim, or was a victim of an alleged plot, or do I have to say alleged victim of an alleged kidnapping plot that occurred right before the 2020 presidential election that might have been fodder for a lot of talking points, politicians, Democrats who wanted to put out the idea that Trump was supporting, fomenting, encouraging, enhancing far right-wing extremism. Right about that time, this story breaks. Gretchen Whitmer comes out and says, I was the object of an alleged plot to kidnap me and do worse. The justice will be swift and they will see justice, whoever tried to plan this. 2 of the 4 defendants got acquitted because a jury evidently came to the conclusion that this was not a bona fide plot that they were involved in. It was effectively government entrapment. At the risk of oversimplifying, more informants and more FBI agents involved in foiling the plot than involved in the actual plot itself. And some of them were being paid, informants, and being paid healthily, making more in a few months than they made in an entire year of their ordinary job. The informants carrying out logistics, training, funding, instruction. Some of the FBI agents getting taken off the case for very serious issues. Some of the FBI agents telling their informants to delete text messages between the 2 of them. Some of the FBI agents arguably instructing the informants on orchestrating, planning, training, logistics, etc. Some of the FBI agents allegedly, in an attempt to convince these defendants that they have the capabilities to carry out what they want to do, showing them videos of tanks, trucks exploding to warrant to these individuals, to convince these individuals that they can provide the means to carry out these idiotic, over-the-top plans. Some of the FBI informants smoking drugs with the alleged targets, and apparently one of the targets was basically high all the time. That's the trial. 2 were acquitted. 2 were subject of a hung jury, and they're being retried. And this is now from the new trial. For anybody looking for like daily coverage of this is where I get my overviews from. Julie Kelly, American Greatness, is doing a great job. It's from the Daily Caller. So disregard it if you're inclined to disregard sources based on political leanings. FBI asked, well, I think we just read that. Yeah, here, let's get to the article. An FBI informant in the alleged plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, yada, 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 claimed Monday the Bureau requested that Michigan State Police allow armed protesters into the state capitol during an April 30th anti-lockdown protest. Dan Chappelle testified Monday and Tuesday in Adam Fox and Barry Croft Jr.'s retrial. He said the FBI specifically asked state police to allow armed protesters into the state capitol for de-escalation purposes in the protest. I don't even understand what that means and how that would work, which he attended with the Wolverine Watchman militia members during his informant tenure, Bensinger reported. To de-escalate the situation or to arrest them and prosecute them like they did with Guy Reffitt and send them to jail for many, many years. Let them in so we can prosecute them and send them to jail for many, many years. Hundreds of demonstrators. This is the FBI telling the state police to do this. And now we have people still saying, got to trust the FBI. They wouldn't abuse of the secret court system like they did in 2017. They've learned their lesson. Hundreds of demonstrators called for Whitmer to end a COVID-19 stay-at-home order that day, the Lansing State Journal reported. Okay. Fox and Croft are being retried in charges they planned to kidnap. This part we saw. Jury failed to reach a verdict. The two others were acquitted in April after their defense contended the FBI entrapped them. Okay. Chappelle is a postal worker. Fox's defense attorney, Chris Gibbons, noted the Bureau paid Chappelle cash for 17 weeks of lost wages, a smartwatch of $4,300, laptop he claimed to have purchased for school, Michael Martin reported. Gibbons reminded Chappell he had testified in the previous trial that the FBI gave him a credit card to offer other Wolverine Watchmen members for ammo, supplies, hotel rooms. So people have to bear in mind, when you talk about foiling a plot versus fabricating the plot, one of the defendants, I forget whom, so downtrodden, so not liquid on finances, lived in the basement of a vacuum shop, washed up, brushed his teeth in a restaurant, in a nearby restaurant, doesn't have the means, doesn't have the methods, doesn't have the training, is high all the time, and the FBI is giving the informant credit cards so that the informant should give the credit cards to the people they're trying to, not entrap, the people they're trying to foil, to give them the credit cards, to tell them to go buy the weapons to carry out the plot that the informant is training them on how to do, giving them logistics on how to do. And but for this, the question would be, would they have ever done it or even thought of doing it or even taken it to the next step of planning? You can come to your own conclusion. I'm predicting an acquittal in this. I'm predicting an acquittal in this trial in as much as I predicted an acquittal in the first trial. Chappelle characterized Fox on Monday as the alleged kidnapping plot's group's driving force, claiming he himself had reluctantly become an FBI informant after joining the Wolverine Watchmen and eventually fearing they would do bad things to the police. The jury heard a recording of Fox saying, "You don't even have to convince me to kidnap Whitmer," the outlet reported. Was he high when he said that? Just out of curiosity. The FBI did not immediately respond to the Daily Caller story. That's the art. I mean, the details coming out of this are so atrocious. And the thing is this, these might not be people you want to hang out with, the defendants. They might be bad people. I don't know them from a hole in the wall. They might be people who are easily manipulated. They might be unsavory characters. Are they guilty of a plot? Apparently, by the way, the informant allegedly discovered the Wolverine Watchman on Facebook, was concerned by posts that he saw, decided to contact the police, and then became an informant. And my goodness, the pay is seemingly pretty good when you become an informant. They go infiltrate more informants, more FBI agents than defendants. People who are high, don't know how to do what they're doing, get induced into taking drugs by the agents, and then have things they say while high in these meetings used against them. And by the way, one of the agents, a female, I don't know what she looks like, if that changes anything, but when you're dealing with individuals who are loners living in a basement and they have women now sharing hotel rooms with them, as the informants were, maybe even sharing beds with them. And then they say, look at this, we foiled this plot. One question I still have, the alleged plot that was the fantastical, idiotic plot that was being plotted by these individuals, egged on by the FBI and the informants who were showing these people that they had the logistics to do what they were doing, was to helicopter Gretchen Whitmer off this island. Who would have flown the helicopter? Where would they have gotten a helicopter from? The guy, one of the defendants living in a basement of a vacuum shop, doesn't even have money to buy ammo and needs to be supplied that money via credit cards from the FBI informant who gets it from the FBI to give to the defendants to commit the act that the FBI is trying to foil. I mean, you come to your own conclusions on this. At the very least, know the facts. I had this discussion with someone yesterday or the day before. The FBI has been a tool of the swamp since its inception. That has always been its main purpose. J. Edgar Hoover, I don't remember if he created it or just weaponized it for those very purposes, to be weaponized to go after ideological political adversaries. That's what it's been since its inception. There's a $20 Rumble rant from Jomo. Hey, Viva. Here is 10% more than you get on YouTube. My wife and I absolutely love you and your family. Look me up if you need a place to stay in the St. Louis area. Jomo, I don't know that I'm ever going to St. Louis, but screen grab. Thank you for this. Thank you for the Rumble rant. And now I see another super chat here. Let's see what this one says. Wasn't there a school incident where the tools were purchased by a boy via credit card? I know what you're talking about. So they're going on with this trial now, the retrial. Jury selection was a big deal in this trial, as it should be in every trial. Some of the questions dealt with, do you trust government? Where do you get your news? All these things. They want to make sure they don't get a jury that might not trust the government. Although I swear to you, any jury member that did trust the government prior to hearing this evidence, if they don't have questions after hearing this evidence, they're not listening to the evidence. There was, if you're not following it, there's been something of a drama. I don't know how it's been resolved, of an alleged rogue runaway juror, a juror who apparently told employees, I'm going to get on this jury. I'm going to make sure this goes the way I think it needs to go. I'm already decided. I'm going to get in there and make sure it happens. There was a private jury, what do they call them? Investigation. The judge is going to consult. There's been a motion filed. It was confidential. I don't know that there's been a resolution to that yet. First super chat, long overdue. I appreciate your work. Keep it up. James Pruitt, I love your avatar, which leads me to believe that you might have a YouTube channel or some form of social media presence, because that's a good avatar. Hear me out. Jeb Bush, Liz Cheney, 2024. Democratic Party ticket. We could even use Bush Cheney 2004 yard signs. Vote Jeb Blue, no matter who. Oh, the question is this. So that's the latest in the Gretchen Whitmer trial. Julie Kelly, American Greatness. Tucker ran a piece on it, breaking down all the facts. And I can say, people are saying, oh, Tucker Carlson, he's a partisan hack. He's a misinformation. I've been following it. I didn't notice anything factually incorrect in Tucker's presentation. And if you listen to that presentation and you're not shocked and outraged, there's very little that will shock and outrage you. Oh yeah, here's the screen grabs from Changing America. Lawmakers say statues of reprehensible Abraham Lincoln should be taken down. And another one, Portland protesters tear down statues of Abraham Lincoln, Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah, that was from a while back. So that's the Gretchen Whitmer. It's going on. I think it ends this week. I don't think it goes on past this week, but we'll see. Little Rock says Tucker goes after rhinos too. Well, it doesn't matter. Look, the issue is that I know that Tucker is factually correct on this, and I can tell, I can discern, differentiate, distinguish hyperbole from statements of fact. So I know when Tucker is stating a fact hyperbolically, but everyone should go watch it I'm gonna pull it up just for 1 second so we can catch a little glimpse of it. See notifications? Any notifications? No. Picture of a dude motorcycling with a ladder. Hold on. Oh, yeah, here it is. Let's bring this up. Actually, it's funny because it's reminiscent of House of Cards. So someone said they will never be able to be convinced that House of Cards is not about Bill and Hillary Clinton. But if you've seen House of Cards, there was that episode where they say, I think his wife said, we don't give in to terror, we make the terror. That was what the president said. This is Tucker Carlson. Just a little bit of it so I don't get into trouble with Fox News.
Whitmer kidnapping case. You may remember that story. It's from the fall of 2020. You may even have followed it a little bit and heard how it ended. So it seemed like a terrorism plot was in fact a setup by the government to make a group of ordinary people in Michigan look like terrifying right-wing extremists, those violent white nationalists Joe Biden is always mumbling about. Well, it turns out there aren't enough of those.
Oh, look what I just did. Okay, that's enough anyhow. I'll put it. Turns out there's not enough of them that the government has to fabricate them or cultivate them as opposed to foil them. Cynthia Johnson, first law of economics, no free lunch. Everything has trade-offs. Everything has trade-offs. Nothing's free or easy. Everything has problems. Work on solving the problems in a good faith or shut up. Jobs over jabs. Do I agree with that? I agree. Good faith, honest, peaceful, civil. Period. Taxes theft. When they take your money, ship it overseas, and then tax you more because they're running low on the coffers, it's beyond theft. So are you making little fry number 4 this hump day? 41 and 43, man. When a woman is 35, they're already at high risk pregnancies. Tucker been on fire lately. Tucker's usually on fire. I mean, he's good. People are giving him flack for doing that, exposing the cattle mystery, like those cattle that are showing up drained of blood with organs missing. I don't know why people gave him such flack for that. It might not be the thing I'm most interested in, but it's still kind of interesting. Okay, hold on. Let me bring this back up because I want to see if there's anything else before we'll just take some questions. If there's nothing on the Viva Fry Twitter diary news, let me see here. I just got a notification from Brad and Kyle. How to bowl on difficult medium oil patterns. Brad and Kyle have an awesome bowling vlog, and I actually had them on the channel back in the early days of COVID. Okay, let's see. We got Gretchen Whitmer. Yeah, let's just talk about this. This is another one of the discussions I have, which I don't know if they're genuine or not. Someone calls me, "Hey, David, Mr. Propaganda." So you should cheer about it or just say silent since your cult leader is the one who created Operation Warp Speed. As if I've never criticized Trump, by the way, as if he's my cult leader in any event. And we'll go to the actual thread where I try to give a genuine, your inability to distinguish between Trump's Operation Warp Speed and Biden's Operation Warped Mandate is fitting of your accusation of propaganda. Trump never coerced anyone to take the shot, though I do believe you cannot rush vaccine development, especially on safety data. I love how your troll factory gets triggered by me. I looked up your stuff on YouTube and all your juicy tweets. Tu es vraiment un pro de la propagande. T'as compris comment ça marche. You're really a propaganda pro. You understand how it works. And I still don't know what she's talking about. And I'd like to. What am I propaganda about? I can appreciate people not liking some of the things I say. What am I propaganda about? How can I be propaganda about a view that is not widely held by institutional media? All right, I think that might be. Then we got some evidence of the. We got the. I think we did it. Oh, here we go. Someone's going to say I legitimately accused Elon Musk of being a communist. This was my deep thought actually yesterday after having gone for a jog. POTUS Justice Department treating transparency like it's a game of 3-card Monty. Under the guise of transparency, they turn over one card without turning over the other two, which would reveal that you never had a chance at winning in the first place. This goes back to the Justice Department's refusal to publish the affidavit for probable cause in support of the warrant to carry out the raid at President Trump. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say raid. That might be propaganda. To carry out the raid at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. Transparency. They say, look, in full transparency, because this is what people said. It's transparency. We want to release the warrant. In full transparency, because we want to release the list of items seized. But we don't want to release the affidavit in support of the warrant. That's like showing me the one card missing the 3-card Monty, but not showing me the other two that my choice was never there in the first place. That's not selective transparency is deceit. Ooh. Selective transparency is deceit. And I'm going to go with hashtag selective transparency. Is that how you spell it? Transparency. Selective transparency is deceit. Viva, have you read the article NPR put out recently titled "Why Scientists Have Pumped a Potent Greenhouse Gas into Public Lands and Streams? The effects of the gases cause warming for 30 years." I haven't read that. I'd be curious if that's true. Viva, David Langford, he writes in caps because it's easier to see people, not because he's angry at me. "It has come to my attention that most of the Viva chatters are above average intelligence, less and accept the trolls. It's quite funny. I didn't realize this mechanism is the way to keep trolls out. Why am I? Hey, how did it take me November 2014 to basically November 2022? How did it take me 6 years to realize this? Just sub, gonna checking you about. Welcome to the channel. Took me all of 6 years to realize I could resolve. Well, I never had the bot problem. Unprovoked, unsubstantiated ad hominem is the mark of a true Twitter troll. Now, I have to be self-reflective because I do have ad hominem a lot when it comes to the raging tyrant Justin Trudeau, but it's substantiated and it's provoked. It's substantiated, all right. My good, sweet, merciful goodness. What do we have here? So will Joe Manchin donate a percentage of his take from the Inflation Reduction Bill to the National Parks for Lincoln Statue Resurrection? Oh, here we go. Buck Color, Canadian press puts out new hit piece suggesting protesters and supporters of the trucker convoy are going to seek retaliation. Suggesting protesters and supporters of the trucker are going to seek retaliation. The article is doubling down once again on the protest being alt-right. Yep. I saw alt-right Native Canadians, Indigenous Canadians, Black Canadians, I saw a trans protester with the convoy. Black, Kuwaiti, Venezuelan, Polish, Russian, Ukrainian, Argentinian. It was real bigoted, real right-wing extremism. How is Florida fishing? I don't actually get to do as much as I'd like to because the days are short and the days go by quickly. Along with the mane of magnificence, I love how you'd rather become mute sound. I love how you'd rather become mute sound aphasic than swear at people who hate you. It's I someone's going to take a swear out of context and like run that clip like I'm Democrat versus Democrat referencing Governor Whitmer. Huge difference. And we got this, just going to shut up a second yet. And then we got, will Joe Manchin donate a percentage? Okay. What do we have here? Unprovoked. We got that one. Okay. All right. So people, tonight we have Sav Says on the sidebar. I'm going to create that link immediately after finishing this one. Beep. I cannot believe all I had to do was put a 5-minute subscriber requirement to comment to resolve the bots. I'm going to go tweet that out because other people might not know that. Sav Says tonight it's at 6 o'clock, people. 6 o'clock Eastern, not 7 o'clock. So bear that in mind. I'll remind everyone when I share it. Everyone, you're not banned. Hello, Big Pete. Nice to see you again. Everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for participating in this journey with me, this awakening of sorts. I don't want to feel like we're staring into the abyss for too long. I don't think we are. I think tides are changing, even if sometimes I feel a little bit of despair having discussions with intelligent people who are just blinded. They don't even want to read news that might wake them up, might make them realize they might have made a mistake, but it's not too late to learn for the future. It's discouraging sometimes. This is therapeutic. This is informational. This is educational. And I thank you all for being here. So clip, snip, share away. Go to Viva Clips for the shorter clips, if you're so inclined. Viva Family for the random, totally not related to any state of the world stuff. Tonight, 6 o'clock, sidebar with Barnes and Sav Says, Savannah Hernandez. Going to be amazing. Friday, probably going to have Alex Stein on Friday afternoon. We're going to confirm the time. Alex Stein, primetime 99, is going to be on Friday afternoon. So stay tuned for that. We've got great stuff coming up. Thank you all. See you tonight. See you tomorrow. Stay civil, stay vigilant, and do not sacrifice your decency in this battle for knowledge and to shape the future for our children. Go. Enjoy the day. Peace.